Today I wanted to talk about Lewis scripting for OpenMW. What we have right here is just a short script, and what this does, I'm going to show you how to make your own scripts here in a second. And what my script does, basically it grabs the libraries at the top, these things right here, and then we go return, we use the engine to run this script. There's only a few scripts that you run on the engine, but this is one of them. They are kind of easier to write because they're always in this format. Return the engine handlers, and then whatever your function is. It could be this, or it could just be show message, which will just print to your screen nice. So right now we have onConsume, and we have our function with the item. And in the second line, we have the we get the potion, we get the type of the item, which is a potion, and we find its record as a string, and then we set it equal to this potion. And then if it's equal to that potion, we'll send a message back to the player. I have another script for this where I'll show you how to add skill points to certain potions and stuff like that. So let me show you how to set up your scripts. And first I'll just show you how to run the script. So, or what my script does exactly. So I open up the command script and I'll just Control V. I have this console command, add item, and I add P restore fatigue, and add 1 to my player, click on the player, press enter, and now I have that potion in my inventory. And when I drop it on my player, it says nice at the bottom. Anyways, I also have another script for when you drink a specific potion, it will give you a level and a certain skill. So let me exit this real quick, and I'll also show you some resources. OpenMW has, this is for version 0.49. You can select the version over here. There's a lot of references in here, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and it's very hard to actually figure out what the Lewis do because they're specific to OpenMW instead of the Morrowind Standard Edition. So, anyways, we have all these scripts, and here's the basic script. We're really just going to be basing our script off this. So basically, it just says if you press this key, then you return this message, which is fairly simple. Ours is slightly more complicated than that. This is very easy to follow. So just add it to the engine. You grab your library, add it to the engine. On key press, you create a function for key, and then you grab key symbol, and then you grab the UI library, show message, and then you have press text. So what the libraries are, or what they look like, so we have the types library right here, and you can look through it and read and try to find out the definitions for each of the functions. They're also pretty similar, almost like carbon copy of what's on the website. We have the types menu right here, which is really long, but it says everything that's on here as well. But you might be able to decipher this a little bit better if you're having trouble with the functions. So anyways, to make a script, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our notepad. So I'm just gonna close the libraries off the top. So I have the interfaces library, which combines all the libraries into one. So you can access more libraries from one library, and skill handlers. And these are my scripts. So first thing we're gonna do is create 2 files. We're just gonna go to new tab, and then we'll file, save as, and you want to save in your data files folder, or not your data files, your data folder where you keep your other mods, and then I would make a folder for scripts, and then go down to the bottom, save as type. We're going to select all files, and you can see the scripts I already created. And the first one we're just going to call, let's call it T1, try 1, or tutorial 1, and then we go .omw scripts, and this is going to be an easy file to write, and then we'll do one more, and this one is going to be the same spot, and we'll just go t1 dot Lua, because that's the language we're using, and we'll save that. All right, so we'll go to our t1 scripts, and what we're going to do is we're basically going to just add the location right here, and we're going to use a player script here. There's player, global, containers, all that kind of thing, and basically just specifies where the script's going to play. And so we're gonna type player on our OMW script, and this is just gonna tell us the location of the script, and then we want the location of the script. So this will be data files folder, and then you can go the next folder down, and then the name of the script. So we'll just go, I'm just gonna go gscript/, I'm gonna copy and paste that. And then we'll just go t1.lua, and then we can file, save, and that file is done. We don't have to do anything more in there. So what we need to do now is, so I have we're going to need 2 libraries, the local UI require, and this is just going to allow us to use the show message function and just print show message to our UI, and then we're just going to print the string nice. So you want the local UI equals require OpenMW UI, and this is in the documentation on, it'll be at the top of the page where it's required. You'll see it right here. Local requires OpenMW interfaces, and again on the types screen, usage. This will be at the top of all these cases right here. Are going to require the types, and types is the library is always going to be the first thing, and then dot whatever else. So we're going to go back to our script, and so local UI equals required OpenMW UI. You don't need to use the UI command right here, or the variable, but it makes it easier if you keep it similar to what the base is. So instead of using UI right here, or right here, you could change this variable, and then you put that variable in the front. So we're just going to copy these 2 libraries locations, and then we're just going to put those at the top of our script. So we're going to access both of those. And then also a very common thing is when you use the engine handler, you just want to copy and paste these. It makes it easier. And to get that, I'll drop a link in the description. So to get that, I don't know what I was looking at earlier. You can just go to the main page, the overview of Lua scripting, and you can just copy this part right here, and that will work. And you can mess around with this too as well. So we're going to go back to our notepad, and in our next line, we want to tab over anything inside the engine handler needs to be tabbed over, and any new functions will have to be tabbed over inside. So like if statements inside the function will have to be tabbed over as well. As we'll say, so we have skill and activate, and then I'll show you. So onConsume is, so we have the engine handlers right here, and you can look at all the packages that can be used, and there's not a ton, but we'll just type in here onConsume. And I spelled that wrong. So we go to engine handlers, and then we go to local scripts, and we have onConsume item. See how it does not look it does not look the same as onConsume equals function item. That's the part that can get confusing if you haven't used Lua before. The way that the documentation is written. So onConsume equals the function of what was in the parentheses next to onConsume. So we'll type that out too. So onConsume equals function of item. And then we're going to tab over one more time. So we're going to use an if statement. Lua is case sensitive, so you also got to be careful here. So we'll go if types. We're going to use our library right here. Dot. And then we'll go potions, which will be the item that we're looking up the record for, the item type, the item category. Dot record. I don't know if it has an S. So record. And then we put the item here. Since this is a function now, we're going to use the function. This is going to be our function inside here. Item dot, and then we're looking up from the types charts. You can look up the weight, the ID, the name. We're going to look up the ID because that's going to be the actual string data that we can actually compare bit for bit with the actual game ID file. So what we're going to do now is here's the website for all the Morrowind console commands if you need to look any of those up. And then there's this site that shows all the item IDs. So I'm using P restore fatigue just because it doesn't change any of your other stats. So we'll go Control V, and then we need one quotation mark on each side. And at the end of your if statement, if this is true, then we say then, and then enter, and then we put something in parentheses. Right now we're going to go UI dot show message, show with a capital M for message. And then we want to just put our message inside the brackets. And we'll just say nice. And then we'll go enter. And we need to close the if statement with an end. And we need to close the function with an end. And then we can just go like, I don't even know what you call these, but we need to close both these up here. All right, and then we can file save. And now we can access our script from the game. So what we can do here is we're just going to go open your OpenMW, and we'll just go T1 OMW scripts as long as you have the data directory pointed to your data files. And then we can just launch OpenMW. Check out my earlier videos if you need to know how to grab a cell to test in quickly. And now we open the console command with the ampersand key, and then we'll go this. We'll just type in the name. We'll go add item. And then we'll press 1, and then we'll just click on the player. enter, and now we have the potion in our inventory. And when we click it on our player, it says nice. So that's the first step. That's a nice little thing that we can do just to test to make sure our script's running nicely. And then we can go back out. And I prepared another function that we can do to increase our level. So I have this right here, which is just going to say, so we have the local I, which is just going to be the interface library. Just Control C, and we'll Control V it at top. And then what we want to do, instead of UI show message, we're going to replace it with I.SkillProgression. We're going to use the I library for skill progression. This is only available in 0.49, by the way, as far as I know. And copy and paste that. I'll go through it again here once we get over here. So we go I.SkillProgression.skillLevelUp, and then we'll choose the skill that we want to level up in the first bar. And then the second bar, we'll choose the method. I made a custom class. I edited the base files that came with this, but we'll just go with book. And we should be able to save that. And we should be able to check our sneak stat now in game. So we'll just go like this, open it back up, and open console, add item, we'll do 5 here. Forgot to click on my player. Alright, and then we open up the tab, and our sneak skill is at 5. Hopefully this works. You have gained knowledge from this book. Your sneak skill increased to 6. Now that's why I changed it from book, is so we can have our own custom line right here. But it's not super important as long as it's leveling the right skill. And you can always write a script doing exactly what we did already, and we can always add text to the UI. This is how you get your skill point at the same time as this is popping up. I might as well just show that right now, how we can do that. So we're just going to grab our original UI show message. You have pressed X. And then we'll just go, should be able to just put it right below, file, save. Now, one thing you can do with these message checks, if you put it after your function, or one of the things you're trying to work on, it won't pop up unless this function goes through. If this function doesn't go through, if there's something wrong with it, it will go to the end and you won't see this message. Now, if you put it on top of this message, you'll see this message and then it will stop here if that's the problem. And you can use that to find out where the problem is in your code. So we have UI show message. You have press X. We'll just change this to, you have been super sneaky. And we'll change this to T-Dog, which was my custom thing that I made. You can also go edit what the message is actually in like the other file itself. But we can just, I think we saved it. File save, and then we can go back to our OpenMW, launch it again, see what happens. I haven't done this part before, so forgetting to click on my player. You have been super sneaky. Your sneak skills increased to 6. Anyways, I'm gonna do a bunch more videos on Lua. I just wanted to kind of, document everything, and because there's not a lot of information out there right now. So hopefully this helps, and I'll catch you next time.